All right, recording is on. Last class we talked about the string arrays, which basically when you make a new string array, if you don't assign any value to it, it's just going to be a bunch of nulls. And again, string, because it's object, that means each one of those spot is a memory address that points to the string value that's to be stored there. So if you don't give any value, then that means all those memory addresses are pointing to nothing. That's why they're null. Null basically just nothing. And once you give a value to it, then they will say, oh, that's the memory address that holds hello. So in here is the memory address stored in the array. So hello is not technically stored in here. It's the memory address that's stored in there. And then of course you can check for null by using, like, if it's not null, then you can do something you can call functions, right? If you remember, if you call functions on null, it just gives a null pointer exception and then it just crashes. So if it's not null, you can do something, you can call functions on the string and all those stuff. But if it is null, then you might want to set a value to it just to prevent it from crashing, right? And then we talk about two-dimensional array, and it's basically just a table. You can view it either as a table or as an array of arrays. So in this case, we have 5 as row, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 3 is column, 0, 1, 2. So the first number is row, second number is column. The other way to look at this is we have 5 of arrays of 3 integers. So this is one array, this is another array, this is another array, and we have 5 of those arrays that each contain 3 integers. So that's the other way of looking at it. Well, since those are pretty new, like the two-dimensional array can be kind of confusing and things. So I'm thinking this class I will just do like a little project thing, and if you guys want, you guys can type along, and then hopefully you guys will get more used to how to operate on two-dimensional array or array in general. So I'm gonna give like 1 minute for everyone to open up Eclipse if you wish to type along. And so this probably won't take a whole class, and depends on how long we're gonna take to do this. I'm thinking maybe if we have like 10 minutes, 5 minutes at the end of class. I haven't really asked for feedback for a while. Last time it was 2 weeks ago, so we can just have another feedback session, just you guys telling me what to improve on, what you wish to see, and things like that. All right, so are you guys getting Eclipse open? And when you get it open, just start a new project. So I'm pretty sure everybody's pretty fluent on that. So this is gonna be, let's say, 2D array, two-dimensional array example. And I'm just gonna click, okay. Remember, for some of you, when you click finish, another thing is gonna pop up and asking you for like create or don't create the module. Don't create it. If you already click create it, you wanna delete the whole project and start over, because that module thing just messed everything up. So for me, when I click finish, it just finishes, like it doesn't ask me anything else. So if you see, like, after you click finish, there's a module, click don't create. And once you create this two-dimensional array example, I'm gonna create a new class. And I'm also gonna just call this 2D array example. And then I wanna check this. box here to have Eclipse automatically generate the static void main for me. And now I want to include a file. So let me put the file in chat. So I'm gonna upload the file into the Zoom chat. Where's data.txt? There we go. There. Okay. So the file uploaded on Zoom is what you need to import. So to import that, again, you don't want to right click here. You want to right click on 2D array example. You want to right click on the project. So right click here and then click import file system. And then here, because I saved on desktop, I'm just gonna click on desktop. And you cannot select any file here. You have to select folder. And then you have all your file list down there, and you have to look for data.txt, and you hit finish, and there it is. So I'm gonna let you guys catch up a little bit. I'm gonna write down the goals of this demonstration. So goal is, well, we're gonna review file input using scanner here, and we're gonna learn something new. We're gonna learn string method split, and it's actually really nice. And then we're gonna just practice 2D array problems or something like that. I mean, you don't have to type this in. This is, I'm typing it here, so when I open up to, when I upload this to Canvas, and once you guys download this, you can see like what this is about. So you don't have to be confused and wondering like, what is this, right? So you don't have to actually type this. All right, so the first thing when you want to do file input is you want to do file, let's just say f equals to new file, and then put in the file name, which is data.txt. And then because file is not recognized here, you can either press Control Shift O or Command Shift O on Mac, and then Eclipse will automatically do it over here. If Eclipse didn't do it, then you have to type out on top import java.io.file. And then of course the other one we want is import java.util.scanner. This is the other one that we want. Because right after we put in the file, we're gonna put in scanner. I'm just gonna call it scan equals to new scanner, and then in there, just put file in there. Oh, not F, not file. And then this one gives an error here because it has unhandled exception type, file not found exception. So when you see unhandled exception, this generally means that you need to put the try and catch around your code. And then we just want to print stack trace. So basically what this, again, what this try catch does is if there's any error up here, you can just print the error down here. So let's say if I mistype it, right? If I mistype this to data.txt, and when I run this, see, it will throw an error and it will print the stack trace down here. And then it says data.txt system cannot find the file specified. Where is the problem? Here's the problem. Okay. So this is reading the F, and that's the F. Oh, this should be data.txt. Okay. So now we can test it again. Everything works. I mean, of course, sometimes you don't have to put try catch, and it will just quit. But in this case, if you don't put the try catch, the Java actually complains because this whole file input requires you put the try catch around it. Okay, so here's where we are, and so if you look at the file, this file is actually, I just took like about 15 lines of numbers from like one of those data files that I used in my PhD research. So this is some real data out there. So basically, we're gonna read this file, and we're gonna do something interesting about it. So let's go back here, and so to store this file, we have to create a two-dimensional array, right? So to do that, we have to know the size of the array. So now I'm just gonna start counting. So basically, each of those is a double, right? And then you have the comma that's separating everything. So this is called a CSV format. So when you have rows and columns, and then the comma is separating the columns, this is called a CSV format. So the comma is separating all those columns. So I need to first count how many columns there are. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I have 11 columns, and I have 15 rows. So I want to create something that's 15 by 11. Remember, rows comes first and column comes second. So I can do double. Let's just call it data equals to new double 15, 11. There. Now you might wonder, hey, this data is small, right? That's why you are able to count how many rows and columns are here. There's a question. Afternoon, Professor. Sorry I was late. Has something? Yeah, no problem. Just we're just starting on this example. So what was I saying? Oh yeah. So this file is small, right? That's why I can sit here. I can count this. What if there are larger files like this is the original file for the. No, not Excel. Okay, whatever. Excel is fine. So this is the original data file I had, and even though I only still got 11 columns, the rows is pretty large, right? So when you don't know, and then of course there's like other data files where it's hard to tell. Like let me give an example. Cover type. There we go. Yeah, see this? I mean, it's hard to tell how many columns there are. So what are you gonna do when this is the case? Well, then there is something called array list that is actually an array that can change size. So you don't have to know the size beforehand. You can just be like, oh, there's one more number, append, one more number, append. So that's a very nice thing. And we will learn about that later on this semester. But right now, we're stuck with the array, which we have to know the exact size because it requires the size when you declare the array. Okay, so we got the data declared. Now we have to fill this. So how do we fill this? Then we want to read this file line by line. And then we want to convert this into 11 doubles and put into our double array. So if you guys remember how to read line by line, we first have the while scan.has next line, right? We want to do this first. Basically what this does is it's going to check whether the file has a next line. So when the file doesn't have next line, is at the end of the file. So when you read to the end, then the scanner here is not going to have the next line, and this is going to be false, and then the while loop will just quit. So this while loop basically just going to start just saying, I'm going to loop, I'm going to read until I get to the end of the file. And so in here, I'm going to do string line equals to scan.next line, right? Every time I loop around, I want to read one line. And now each line has, well, let me leave this on so you guys can follow. So if you guys remember, each line has 11 doubles in it, but they're all separated by comma, right? So somehow we have to break them apart. And then that's when we use the split method. We want to do string, array, and let me just, well, I have a question. Can you scroll up line one for a second? Yeah, oh yeah, those are the two imports that you need to do. I guess I can, let me reduce this a little bit so everything I can show as much as possible on the screen. There we go. There. That pretty much that fit everything in there. There we go. So again, each line is separated by comma, right? I have to break them out. So the split is a really nice function. So I can just say token equals to line dot split. So if you see what split does, split the string around matches of the given regular expression. We don't have to worry about what regular expression is for now. Just know that if you look at the example, if you have bool and full, and then if you want to split on the what is it called, colon, then the result is array that has bool and full, 3 strings in it. And then you can, and then the second example is split on O. So you have your B, and then because there are 2 O's in between, so there's empty string here, because this O you're gonna split on this O, you're gonna split on this O. So in between those 2 O's, there's nothing. So it's empty string. And between this O and this O, you got this and F. And then obviously, this example forgot about the last O, right? Because there's O, so there should be an empty string at the end. And this example just forgot about it. I mean, you see, even the Java people makes mistakes. So that's basically what we're gonna do. We're gonna just use comma here to split every line of our data into 11 different strings. So line split, comma, and I mean, we can quickly check for it. Token I. So we can quickly check for this. You don't have to type this. You don't have to type this for loop, because I'm just gonna quickly check if we're doing things correctly. Yes, indeed we are. Right? You got the first number, you get the second number, you get the third number, and they're all split by the comma. So that means we did it right. Now, we have to put those tokens, so each of those numbers string, into the double data. So what are we going to do now? So you're thinking, okay, so the first line, right? The first line, we have 11 elements and we have to put into data. Okay, so let's just run with that thought. Int I equals to 0, I smaller than token.length, I plus plus. So I'm gonna cycle through token, and I want to say, so that's the first line, data I equals to, remember this, feels like a long time ago, double parse double. This is how you convert string to double, token I. So basically this for loop here, I'm going through each one of those strings, and there are 11 of them, and for each one of those token I, I'm gonna parse them into double, and I'm gonna put them into the corresponding position in my data two-dimensional array. Now, let's take care of line 1, right? Because I hard-coded number 0 here, so that's the first line. But if we're gonna keep doing this, this is gonna rewrite the first line. We're gonna just end up with one-dimensional array, right? So this number has to go up. Now, how do you go up that number? So you come back here, you see, okay, this is reading line by line, right? This reading line by line, and this while loop just loop it around. Whereas the for loop is reading token by token. So this for loop is when you get the line, you split the line into 11 components, and this for loop will read those 11 components. So this number I has nothing to do with line by line, right? The line by line is handled with the while loop. So we have to figure out some way to know, oh, we're at line 0, we're at line 1, we're at line 2, right? So in this case, we know we need something that to count the lines. So we can just create something up there called line number. And initially that's gonna be 0. And since we have the line number, we're gonna put the line number down here. And then right before the while ends, we're gonna increment the line number, right? So now we're gonna starting at line 0, the first line gonna be parsed, and then we're gonna increment the line number. And then when the while loop comes back, we're gonna read the next line. So the next line can be populated. So you can see coding sometimes it's not linear. It's not like, oh, I have the foresight and then I can just go straight down. Sometimes you have to stop and think, wait a minute, I need something extra here. And then you kind of go back and add something. So that's all normal. It's not many people can have the foresight to go through a complex program in one go. So this is all normal. And then having the print out the intermediate result to see that you do something right, that's also normal. So after we do this, right, this looks like we got it right. So just to make sure that we are gonna see it, we got it right, we're gonna do, actually, let me think. Yeah, we're gonna do something different. So this is gonna be a preview, let's say, a preview of maybe Friday's or maybe next Monday's lecture. This is because I'm too lazy to type everything out all the time. So we're gonna create something. You see this thing right here, right? This is the thing that we've been coding in, and we haven't really questioned it that much. The static void main, like what is that, right? Why can't we do anything outside of that? Well, it turns out you can. This is just called a function. Now this function is special because it's main. This is the function that Java looks for when they're trying to decide where to start executing, right? You can have like four, 5, 6 files over there. Which file I'm gonna start? Well, whichever contains main, that's where I'm gonna start. But it's not that special in that I can create other functions, just not called main. And then I can use those functions repeatedly in my code. So let's create a simple function here. So again, this is a sneak peek. If you don't understand it, it's fine. Just type along and then see it work. So I want to do public static void print array. And then in there, I want to do double array. I got a question here. I still have errors on 2 of my lines, even though I've been following step by step. What are the errors, by the way? Can you like type them out? I mean, because this is not a lab, it's okay if you have errors. Because eventually I will upload this file. And then if you have like problem following up, that's fine. Just make sure that you follow up the logic so far. If you have questions with the logic, like why we have the line number here and what does this do and what does this for loop do, speak up. Oh yeah, you forgot to put in the import Java UTL scanner on top. That's probably why. So you got to do those 2 imports. It's there, huh? Both of them are there. It's probably something else. Well, because this is not a lab, so I don't want to do screenshots. Well, here, let me do this. I'm gonna copy paste this to chat. So if you have trouble, you can just copy paste what I have so far. So there. If you have trouble, just copy paste everything. Actually, what happened to import java.io? This is not complete. Hold on. Let me put some marker down there. So copy paste this. The other one wasn't complete for some reason. The first line, the import java.io was not there. So if you kind of fall out of steps, or if you like come to class late or something and can't catch up, just copy paste what I had in chat. After the 2, you can in the chat you can see there are 2 lines of stars in there. Copy paste everything after that if you have trouble catching up. And if this still has problems, if this still produce errors, then it's likely the Eclipse is messing up, because I think it was on Monday, one of the students came to the office hour, and then there is this one error that we cannot figure out what is going on. And then I just said, hey, just delete the whole project and start over. So sometimes Eclipse get confused too. That does happen. All right, so over here, so this is called a function. In the book, in the textbook, it's called a subroutine, right? It's actually very similar. So a subroutine is a function that doesn't return anything. If you don't understand return, it's okay. A function is a subroutine that does return something. So that's the only difference between the 2. My error is with scanner, scanner is saying it doesn't declare a variable. How? Even you copy paste my code? Well, then you have bigger problems with Eclipse probably. Doesn't declare a variable. Huh. Well, we'll take a look at later on because this is a bigger problem. This you might have to like set the properties over here, build path. You might have to like set the Java JRE libraries and stuff like that. So, I mean, okay, okay, great. All right, so let's continue. I have 30 minutes left. All right. So this function, basically, I'm just gonna do a simple thing. I'm just gonna print the array because I don't feel like typing 2 for loops every time. Again, if you don't understand this function, this whole function thing, it's fine. Just type along and we'll explain everything on Friday or next Monday. Just accept that right now this works. So I'm basically, because I'm so tired of every time we look at something, we have to type 2 for loops. And I'm just gonna put everything here. There, I'm basically just, whatever array comes in here, I'm just gonna type it out. So up here, after we parse the data and we put it into our data variable, I just wanna kind of see whether we got this right. So we can just do print array data. And now if I run this, oops, I can't really see. What's going on? Java array index out of bound. Exception 11. Okay, something is wrong. Wait, is it not 11? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It is 11. So there's something else is wrong. Oh, this should be array 0, the length. That's the problem. This is because, remember the 2-dimensional array, the outside is a row and the inside is a column. So when I do the inside, when I use arr.length, that's actually the number of rows. To show number of columns, you have to do arr0.length. So that was the problem. There we go. Why is everything on the same line? Oh, it's because of this. That print should be inside the first loop. So that every row I print out, I go to the new line. If I put it at the end, then it's just gonna print everything in one line and then put a new line at the end. So let me copy paste this in chat just so that if you guys are not following up, this is it. So again, I'm gonna put a bunch of stars in there, and then this is the latest code. And then if you run this, boom, that's the data. Right? I got 4125.097, and then down here you got 0.639, 0.227. So let's check. 4125, that's right. This looks right, and everything else looks all fine. Yeah, so we did it. So basically this while loop, again, what we're doing here is we set a line number so we can store the data line by line into our 2-dimensional array. And then we can read until the scanner reaches the end of file. That means it doesn't have a next line. So the scan that has next line will return false. Otherwise, if the file still have data. I'm just gonna read one line. I'm gonna split this line into 11 tokens. And then for each token, I'm gonna parse it into double and put into our data at the line number that we're at. And then we're gonna increment line number after this line is put in. And then this function just prints everything out because I'm too lazy to type this every time. All right, so let's move on. So now that our data is in here, I have another question. Line 22. Like line 20, line 22, 21. Okay. Okay, so what's happening here is basically if you look at data 0, right? Data 0 is the first row of the double array. So right now, data 0 looks like, I don't even know I can insert that much. I can only insert up to 10. Okay, so data 0 looks like this, even though like there's a lot more two-dimensional array down there. So data 0 looks like this. It's basically this. That's what data 0 look like. So since we're only looking at data 0, basically the first line of the data, now we can say for the first line, so each one of those is a token, right? Because when we did the split, basically everything is split on this comma here. So the first line of the file, which is this, got split into this. But at this moment, everything is still a string. Everything in here is still a string after we split based on comma. So to convert string to double, we use the for loop. So for every token in here, so this is a token, this is a token, this is a token. So for every token that's in this array, we want to parse double. So convert this to a double and put into data 0, 0, right? That's the first row, first column. And then the second token will go into 0, 1. That's the first row, second column, right? And then so on and so forth. So that's what this line does. But because our file has more than one line, right? So we cannot keep 0 in there. If we keep this, then as the scanner next line keep reading, we're just gonna keep replacing the data 0, right? So if I run with the 0 in there, let's look at what the array looks like. See, it is a bunch of zeros with the first line being rewritten over and over again, right? Because we're always putting data in the first array up here. So to prevent that, that's why we create a line number. At first it's 0, but every time we read a line, we increment it. And then we put the line number in here. So now the first time it's 0, so we put the 0 line on the first line, the first array. And the next line, so line number is 1. So every data will be put in data 1, something, something, something up here. So that's the second row. And then when we read the third row, line number goes to 2. So data 2 will go to, you know, the next token, next token, next token, and so on and so forth. So that's basically what this line number does. And if you run it now, everything works fine now. Does this make sense? Is everybody understanding this? Give me a yes, no, maybe?
Yes.
Great, one person. What is double? Oh, the double, that parse double, that's the function that convert this. Used to be a string, right? Token is an array of strings. So when I do token I, that's a string. That's a point dot, that's a 0.7196999 string. The parse double will convert the string type into a double type so that we can put into our data of doubles. So that's basically what's going on. That's what the double parse double is. This is in our first week of class, so if you still have problems, you gotta review that. So after that, we can do something fun, right? We can do, let's say, like what's the average for each column, right? So we're gonna find average for each column. So that's what it's gonna do there. It's gonna be for int I equals 0. Again, I makes it, when I code, I make it look like this I is required when you use it for array index, but it really is not. It's really just a variable name. I can even name this P. So just make it less confusing. I'm gonna call this P now. So P is gonna be smaller than, because we're looking for each column, right? The average of each column. So we're gonna cycle through columns. And how do I cycle through columns? It's through this. It's through the data 0, the length, P++. So now the outer loop will go from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 11 or 10, all the way to 10. Now there's got to be an inner loop, right? Because we're going to find the average for each column. So we have to add every one of those things up, like this, add this, 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 add those things up and divide by the number of rows. So there's going to be an inner loop, which is going to be int. Since I used P, I'm going to use Q equals to 0. Q, again, if you want to get the row number, you use the ARR length. So again, this is the row number. Oh, well, data. This is a row number. This is a column number. Q++. Of course, if you don't remember this in the future, you can always just print, right? System.out.println data.length, comma, data 0.length, and then see which number is which. You can always do that. So in here, we want to add everything up. So add everything up. So if you guys remember how to do add, we have to have a total number on outside. And then we do total plus equals to. Now we have to be very careful because we're adding columns. So we're cycling through columns. It's going to be data Q P. The Q comes first because the Q is the row, right? So Q goes from 0 to 15. So that's when P is 0, we go from, so when this P is 0, we're basically doing 0, 0, which is here. And then next one is 1, 0, which is this, 2, 0, 3, 0, 4, 0, 5, 0, 6, 0, and go down. And then once we finish this, when we come out, when P equals to 1, we do 0, 1, which is this, 1, 1 is this, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, this. That's why the Q, this time, the Q is going to be the one that's cycling first instead of the P. So when we add them up, right? So this line, calculate whichever column is, and calculate the sum. And then I can just print out. Should I do print line? No, let me just print everything like this. And so this is going to be total divide by data.length, right? Because the total is, again, the sum of the rows in one column. That's why you want to divide by the number of rows, which is data.length. So let's run this. Whoa. That is way too much. Oh, I forgot to add the, well, I forgot to add the space for one thing, and then this is way too many digits. But anyway, this one is, this is average of this is average of this is average of that. So again, since we're cycling through column first, that's why the P is smaller than data 0.length. That's basically, that's the column, right? In the end, we got one number, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. See, we got 11 averages because that's the columns. So we're gonna cycle through column first, and then we're gonna cycle through the row number to add each row within the column up, and then divide by the number of rows. All right, well then, what about another thing we can do is we can sort based on a particular column, right? Like if you have a Excel sheet, then you can sort by first name, sort by last name, sort by student ID, right? You can sort the data based on columns. So how are we gonna do that? So let's do, so we want to sort by, let's say column, give me a number from 1 to 10. Anybody give me a number? From 1 to 11. Which number are we gonna sort it on? 7, 8. All right, I'm gonna sort by 7. Well, Alexander said it first, so. So we're gonna sort by column 7. So basically, when we sort by just one column, it's basically just sorting a one-dimensional array, right? Because this one column is just one array. So the sorting part is exactly the same as one-dimensional array, but when we are swapping things, we're swapping a whole row. So we have to copy, we have to swap. So let's say here, like we have to swap this whole row up top. That means each one of the element must get swapped. And that's the tricky part of a sort by column. Other than that, everything is the same. Like, so I can do for int p equals 0, right? P is smaller than, now we have to think, because we are sorting by column. That means we're sorting the column array, so the vertical array. And what's the length of the vertical array? It's the number of rows, right? That's the length of the vertical column array. It's number of rows. So we are sorting an array of size the same with the number of rows. And that's why we're gonna do this, because this is the number of rows. And P plus. And then since we're doing sorting, we're gonna do another for loop, Q equals 0. Q is smaller than data.length again. Q plus. And then it's basically, if you guys remember the really simple sorting thing, we can just do data P 7, right? That's the 7th column. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this column, we're looking at whatever number this column is. That's why I always have the 7 in here, because we're only looking at this column. If this is smaller than data Q 7. Now remember, before when we are swapping, we're just doing like double temp equals data P7, and then data Q7 equals to data P7, and then data Q7 equals to temp, right? 3 lines. but that's only cycling, that's only swapping one value. Now we need to swap 11 values, right? This whole row must get up on top. So we cannot just use a simple swap. We have to use another for loop. And PQ, what's another letter that's near PQ? O, let's say it's O. And O equals 0. O is smaller than now. Because we're swapping rows, right? That means each row will have 11 numbers that needs to be swapping. And that 11 is the number of columns. So this number should be data 0.length, because this gives you the number of columns, O++. So what does this for loop do? I look at like those two rows, right? I look at those two rows, and it's gonna be like, okay, so the first number is this, and the first number is this for those two rows. So this is P, this is Q. Then this is PO, this is QO. So we're gonna swap PO, which is this, and QO. And then as P and Q go up, right? As the for loop goes up, we're gonna swap this and 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 this as the PQ and O goes up. So we're gonna swap each one between the two rows. So double temp equals to data is gonna be O 7. Wait, no. This is the data P O, right? Well, because it's not 7. If we only swapping 7, then it's only swapping those two numbers. But because I used O here, this O will cycle through each number. So I almost got it wrong there. So temp is data PO. So O will be this, 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 and this as O go through this for loop. And then just to make it less confusing, I'm just gonna do double temp 2 equals to data QO, right? Now this QO gonna be either this, this, or this, or this, or this as the O goes up from this for loop. And now I can do data PO equals to temp 2 and data QO equals to temp. And that's it, right? Because if you look at the note on our sorting, you're basically just 2 for loops, 1 check, and swap. And over here in our code, I'm gonna copy paste this again to chat. So after the 2 stars is the code. So if you didn't follow up, you can copy paste from chat. Wait, was that everything? I feel like that's not everything. That is definitely not everything. Hold on. Is there a limit on number of things I can post? Yes, there is. Crap. Okay, where was it left off? I think I left off it there. So this is the first part, and this is the rest of it, I think. So the chat, the first time I copy pasted, it was incomplete because there's a limit on the but anyway, I'm kind of running out of time. So basically, if you see the pattern, like that's the 2 for loop. That's here. That's the 2 for loop here, right? And then once we check this, when we do the swap, the only difference is swap. Instead of swapping just one number, we need to have a for loop so that we can swap 2 arrays. And that's why the for loop is in there. So when I run this code, I need to print the array here. Let's print the array at the end, run this code. Yeah, you can see where is, oh, let me get rid of this. So that's the average. Let me get rid of the average. There we go. Okay. So which one is column 7? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So from here, you see 0.03, next number is 0.07, and then 0.15, 0.18, 20, 34, 37, 38, right? It's sorted. 62, 65, 66, 75, 81.
We only sorted the 7th column, right?
No, we sorted the whole thing. Because if you look at this, if you look at the, we sorted based on 7th column, but we sorted the whole two-dimensional array based on 7th. So this whole row, if you look for the original file where the 0.036 is, so let's open this up. Let's just do a comparison. Where is the 0.026? Or 0.0367. This is a row. You check the number, it's the same, right? Like this number is the same as here, this number is the same as here, this number is the same as here. And then the next number is 0.07317. Where is that? Is this? And then that's the same number. So this number is the same as the top. So we sort the whole sheet of data based on one column. We're not just sorting just column 7, because then what's the point, right? Because this is one data point. If you only swap the number in number 7, then it's gonna destroy your whole data. So each row is a data point. It's a sensor reading from something. That's why when you want to sort, you got to swap the whole rows. So basically, it's the same. It's still up until here. It's the same sorting algorithm that we saw before. But it's the only difference down here. Instead of swapping one, we swap a whole array. That's why the for loop is from 0 to the number of columns, right? Because we're swapping this, which has 11 elements, and 11 being the number of column, with this, which has 11 elements. That's why I use the data 0.length. So that's how everything goes. Okay, well, I don't have enough time to do the Q&A. Maybe I will ask you guys tomorrow in the lab of how the class is going. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna ask tomorrow in the lab. So I only
even though the project is gonna be going on, are we still gonna have the weekly assignments?
You guys will have this weekly assignment is assigned. Next week is gonna be there, but because after next week, the week after next week is when project is due, right? Wait, hold on. Let me check. So this is this week. And next week we'll have assignment, and then when this project due? 1, 2. I think it was on the 12th, right? So you guys have the first week of October here. There won't be assignment from this Thursday. So you have 2 more assignment up to that Thursday, and then after that, no assignment, so you guys can focus on the project. And then when the project is due, we probably gonna have exams on Wednesday. Probably. But then again, exam is not really. It's more like problem solving. So if you can give me an English description of the solution, you can get like 70–80% of the grade if you can't code everything out in time. So it's not really like requires you to code that much. So don't worry too much about the exam. I mean, even though it's kind of a lot, it takes a lot of your points, but I mean, like you can't really study for it. It's more like testing your problem solving ability. Things like we did in class, translating the problems to English. Um, that's basically what we're testing here. Because if you can translate that to English and then from English to extract that into actionable things, coding is just the next step. It's just how much you know about the language. So maybe 10 years later, you're going to forget Java and because you picked up Python or C++, right? But this skill of translating a problem into English will always be there. So after project 1 is due, we're probably going to have exam on the 14th, and then on the 15th, we probably have the lab assignment cycle again. Well, we'll have the second project on the 19th. Yeah, 19th, and due November 9th, and then the third project will just be all the way to the final. Yeah. So basically the week before, so project is going to do on 12th, so the week before the 12th, there's not going to be homework so that you guys can focus on project and the exam. All right, well, I'm gonna copy paste this. I'm gonna submit this to Canvas. So you guys will have a copy of this. Other than that, the class is over. I don't know why there's so many people left. Yeah, 2:30 to 4. Yep. Sure, thank you. Have a good day.